Okay, so I'm going to look at her face and I'm going to find the areas that seem more in shadow. And I'm going to block those in with the side of my charcoal. So I'm going to start with up here. I'm not going to add too much because remember I only added a little bit here, and look how dark it gets when I blend it. So you only need a little bit of charcoal to make something dark. And we'll go in and add some darkness for contrast a little bit later. And then this side of her face is darker than this side. This is the side that the light is on. And we see highlights on her cheekbones, her nose, the brow, top of the brow, and the chin, and part of her neck. So we're going to drop some shadow in on this side of her face. And I like to put my finger on where I'm working, which is why I encourage you to print out your reference image if you can, because I think it's much easier to draw side by side than to look up at your computer. And then paying attention to where the shadows are around her eyes, underneath here. I might even drop in that pupil and then add a little value in the iris. The side of her eye has a little crease here and some value. Top of her cheek, a little shadow. Bottom of her cheek, she's gotten really nice cheekbones here. So there's going to be a shadow around them because it's kind of a plump shape with a highlight right here. Now it doesn't look right at first, right? Because you're just dropping the shadow in, so don't worry about that yet. The chin has a little shadow. The mouth has some darker value in it. I'm being very gentle with how much I apply because it's harder to erase than it is to add. A little shadow on her nose, and then let's pay attention to the shadows on her nose on the side, the tip. And then there's kind of an interesting little like shadow shape right here up this ridge of her nose, some shadow. This crease in between the crease of her cheek, smile, a little bit right here, the side of her cheek. Sort of animating this for you guys so you can hear and see what I'm doing. This is not detail yet. This is just me adding value, and I will start to blend and show you more how to do the rest later. Okay, so I've just added some shading on her face, maybe a little bit more here, and then I'm gonna look at her hair. Shadow there. There's a shadow kind of, I can use some like line now, some line quality since we're in the hair zone. I'm looking at where the shadows are, when the darker values are. And the texture of the hair. My line strokes is going to give it texture. Putting my finger where I'm looking back and forth. She's got fun hair. It's kind of like curly and going in all different directions. Fun to draw. Short. Kind of spiky. Okay. And then her neck. I haven't really drawn in this yet, but I'm going to go down this way. And she's got a really simple top on. This is going to be easy for me. If you have something more complicated, like if you're drawing Frida Kahlo or something, I do want you to do what they're wearing. Don't make up that part, right? We're drawing realistically, objectively, literally, right, Elliot? So we want to draw what we see. This is all black. I like barely even see any value in here. So I'm going to take the side of my charcoal and just kind of imagine that there's a shoulder in there. I might want to add a little fake contouring. Imagine that this is the side of a sweater right there, and this is a shirt. There's a little bit of a collar here. This is called blocking in the value. Putting it down. Okay.
Why did you ruin the portrait?
What's that?
Why did you ruin the portrait?
See, I don't want you to think that way, right? Because this is only one stage. There's one stage. So this is, you're going to watch the magic of charcoal here. You're going to take your blending stump and you're going to blend all that value in. You're going to make it smooth. This is the additive part. We're actually like creating the third dimension on this 2D piece of paper. When you're blending large areas, I recommend that you kind of go in a circular oval pattern, because if you go back and forth too linearly, it's going to look like lines instead of like a smooth surface. We're not doing any details yet. We're just getting the values blocked in. You also don't want it to all be one tone. Okay, so if you're working on this and you're like, oh, there's too much charcoal right there, just go back in and subtract. Take your eraser, and this is the beauty of charcoal, is I can go in and I can fine tune my value with my eraser. I'm looking at the value changes in her skin tone and the shadows on her face and all the little details. Like she has this nice little highlight right above her eye. And I'm blending with the eraser too, kind of using it like a blending stump. The harder I push, the lighter it gets. I use the side of it, kind of blending it in. If I use the tip of it, then I'm making a sharper line. Here's the cheekbone highlight. She's got some kind of crow's feet here, which are like sort of not a PC term for wrinkles on the side of your face. I guess I should find the other term for that. Eye wrinkles. You can put it like that.
Why does she look old?
Why does she look old? Well, she's probably, she doesn't look old. She's maybe, I don't know, in her 40s in this photo. That might be old to you guys, but I think she's like getting close to her 60s now in real life. So art, you guys, as you're making these pieces, art is a process. So at some stage you're like blocking in the value and you're like, oh my gosh, I just ruined my drawing. I want you to resist that temptation to feel that way, because this is a process. Okay, you're going to add value, you're going to subtract value, you're going to blend, you're going to get a lot of detail in the textures, and until you push yourself to do those things, you're not going to learn, right? You're not going to learn the technique. So I'm going to let you guys go work on your drawings. I'm going to continue to work on mine and demo. And when you're ready to post in the feedback, you can post in the feedback. Let me double check that there is a feedback for you guys.
Where's our goal today get done?
Say that again, please.
What is today?
I would like you to at least have your face all drawn in and approved by me. that then you can start adding your value. All right, if you need feedback, I just put a feedback discussion board in your Schoology, week 5. I would encourage you to just work for a while first before you ask for feedback, though, especially if I gave you feedback at the end of class last time. As I'm working on this, if you want feedback, you're going to have to verbally ask for it because I'm going to be not monitoring the chat for a couple minutes, okay? Don't worry about texture quite yet. Like, don't get too crazy with the texture of the hair or anything yet, because I want to make sure your placement of your features is in the right place and stuff. So we're not doing details yet. We're just doing basic value, basic shape. Which it might not feel basic to you because this might be the first time you've ever even gone this far on a drawing of a person. So where you're at right now might feel pretty advanced for what you've done.
Miss Brenninger.
Mm-hmm.
Is the downside of being a lefty in art?
What? Oh, what's the downside?
What?
What's the downside?
Every time I try to write, this happens.
Okay, hang on, let me see. I'm not seeing where's your there. Oh, you got charcoal all over your hand. You know what? That's gonna happen, right? Charcoal's messy. So you're doing this? Is that what's happening?
No.
Here's a trick. When you're working with charcoal, if you put a piece of paper down over where you're working, so your hand doesn't smear your art. So that could
okay.
work for you, Elliot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So even when you're using the blending stump in your eraser to get textures, pretend like you're drawing the hair on her head. So use like sweeping line motions, because that's the texture you're going for, right? You're not going for a smooth blended texture. You're going for hair texture.
Miss Greninger,
Uh-huh.
I'm having trouble with the nose.
With the what?
The nose.
The nose. Okay. Can you post your artwork in the discussion board so I can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when it's posted. So right now I'm pulling off some of the gray ground from the background and kind of blending it, kind of like an ombre effect, because there's sort of a really nice glowy light behind her, and it creates a nice contrast against the back of her head. So I'm gonna brighten up that background just a little bit. So this is another step. I'm not done, okay? It might feel like I look like I'm done, but I definitely have more detail steps to make before I'm done. And I will teach you how to do those in time.
I posted it.
You did? And who's speaking, please?
Tala.
Tala. Okay, thanks, Tala. Give me one more second to drop some highlights in her hair and I'll go look. So even when you're using the eraser, you want to kind of go in a sweeping hair-like texture motion. It's like you're drawing with your eraser, and you're drawing with your blending stump, and you're drawing with your charcoal. They're all drawing tools. You can go back in with your charcoal on top of that and even make it more hair-like. Get more detail, finer lines.
Miss Greninger.
Mm-hmm.
This is Alex. I
Hey,
need
Alex.
a little bit of feedback, so do you want me to post it in the discussion post?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I'm going to jump into the discussion board and give you guys some feedback if you need it and want it. Just post your art there. You do not need to get to where I'm at today. I'm a step ahead of you guys. I don't see any feedback in today's feedback post. Did you guys submit in the right spot? I don't think you did. We're in week 5 and we're Monday, Tuesday, and feedback is number 6. So maybe try to repost.
I posted in the other one.
Can you post in today's, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. I like to keep track of your progress. Give you guys a second to do that. Oh, good. Okay. Alex, would you like your feedback to be public or private?
Private, please.
Okay. Okay. Tala, would you like yours to be public or private?
Public is fine.
Okay. I'm going to work on Alex's first, and then I'll go back to shared screen here. All right, Tala, I'm going to need you to post your reference image.
I did.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Okie dokie. Starting to look like her. I can see her facial features in your face here. All right, let's take some detailed looks. One thing I want you to do is shrink the iris size down. Her eyes are a little too big for her head. I know it's tempting to make them big, but if you really look at the rest of her face, her eyes are pretty tiny in there. So here's what I'm going to suggest that you... I'm going to actually make my line a little bit finer. If you shrink her eye down to about that size, and then the pupil inside of it, I would shrink it down to about that size. Okay? Now her nose, yours is pretty straight, but hers actually, if you look at this line, it goes pretty curved. Sort of a, you got a nice eyebrow line here, but then it kind of comes out this way, and then there's a little bit of like a bump to it here, and then it comes down, and then we see the nostril right here, and then we actually see like the side of her nose right there, and the rest is in shadow, so we're not even going to see the other side of her nose. Her mouth looks good, although I feel like it might be a little bit too down too low. Maybe it starts right about there. I think the shape of her face looks good. Maybe a little bit thinner right here, and like a sharper jaw. Those are just tiny little details, but it looks good so far. Just make those few little adjustments and keep going.
Okay, thank you.
I'll post this in your... Whoops, we had... Noelle, do you want a private or public?
Public.
Okay. Okay, we got Yoko here. Okay, it's looking good so far. I'm just looking at kind of the placement. Looks like you just started working on the eyes. So before you draw these in, just really pay attention. There's quite an almond shape here to her eye. So try to get the top line with the mascara. Your eyelash line is so important to get that shape right. I think her nose is dropped down maybe a little bit further, but it's kind of hard to tell until you get the full eye drawn in there. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think that there's probably, I'm gonna hold up a pencil or something, there's probably like 1, 2, 3 eye widths from her eyebrow down to the tip of her nose. So I think the tip of her nose is kind of right here. So like this is where the nostril is. Whoop, it's too big. What's going on with the... Hang on one second. I'm seeing some kind of flashy craziness happening here. Cameron, What's up, Cameron? I saw that you raised your hand about 10 times. And you're giving me a time check? Do you have a specific question? Did you raise your hand? Okay. I don't know why. That was weird. I just saw Cameron, your name flash on the screen like 10 times with the hand raise symbol. Oh, okay. It was just an accident. Gotcha. It was like flashing at me on the screen. All right, so we were talking about how the nose is a little bit lower here. I'm just trying to help you place it. Maybe not necessarily lower, but like more to it. Nostril, and then there'd be a nostril kind of right here. And a nostril. You might just not have gotten to that part yet. The mouth's in a good place. It looks like it's a little bit downturned. Maybe give her a little curve right here. Looks like she has sort of like a smirky smile on her lips. And I'm going to let you tackle the eyes before I critique. And then let's really look at the chin shape here. It's got a little bit more curve to it. And then her hairline, her hair comes down, starts maybe right here. It's a little high. I think the placement of it against the eye is perfect, but it kind of comes down and almost like that. Or not much of her face is really showing here. Actually blocking that eye, coming in this way, curving like that. So not much of her chin at all is showing. All right, looks good so far. Keep it up. All right, so it's 3:10. We get out of class at 3:25. You guys are going to come back at 3:20 to post a WIP. So that gives you about 10 more minutes to get feedback from me. And Cameron, yes. Does anyone else need feedback?
I posted.
You guys post? Oh, here we go. I just needed a refresh. All right, I'm just going to work my way down. Nina, do you want public or private?
You can do public.
Okay. I wish I had a gigantic screen to work on. Sometimes it's so hard to like move these little boxes around and have enough room to watch you guys and see your artwork. Okay. This is looking good. The first thing I want you to do, wait, let me make sure I know who I'm talking to. Nina, the first thing I want you to do is blend in your ground. I can tell that you went over it with your charcoal, but I can tell that you haven't blended it into the paper, which is a really important step because it kind of grinds it into the paper. It makes it part of the paper. And if you look at her background's pretty dark. So, okay. So that's the first thing I would do, but try your best not to like go over your lines because you have a really good start here. And you definitely got that neck right on, spot on. Very beautiful. So let me see if there's any slight adjustments we could make. I think her head is skinnier widthwise. And her head is kind of leaning back. So she's going to have a line. Right now, the side of her face is very straight up and down. And it's a little bit tilted. So we're gonna just, whoops, hang on. Wrong tool here. Maybe we'll start with her nose line. So you get the mouth is perfect. I think maybe the chin could be a little bit bigger. She has a very square jaw, like kind of comes around her right here. A little bit more. And then she's got this beautiful like shadow line right here that leads right up into the tip of the nose, which you have right, but then this line needs to kind of go back further. And then her eye, you almost have it perfect. It's right there, but then that's the side of her face right there. And then her forehead comes back up this way. And the cheek is literally like right, hardly see the cheek at all. It's kind of like right there. Okay? And then the eye, almost right. Maybe drop it down a little bit like that. Can you mute yourself so I don't hear myself? Thanks. I don't know where I'm echoing here. Let me find who's not muted here. Oh. Okay. All right. This part, I feel like this line is too long. There's too much space right here. So if we really compare like the edge of her eyebrow line, she's got some drawn in eyebrows here. Her hairline kind of comes down here and then cuts over, and then all of a sudden her ear is right there. And then her jaw is like up here. That's her ear right there. Okay? So just a couple little minor shifts. And the neck looks beautiful, nice blending, good start to the shoulders. Looks good, Nina.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Greninger, I have feedback posted.
I'm just going down the line, okay? So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to get to you. But there's a line. There's sort of a line of feedback. Thank you for letting me know, though. I'm going to try my best. I'll work a little faster so I can get through. So, Teresa, public or private? Teresa?
Public's fine.
Okay. All right, so we're doing Frida Kahlo. Do you have charcoal? Did you pick up your art supplies?
Yeah.
Because this looks like pencil.
I did the outline with pencil.
Okay, so we're not doing that. We're doing a completely different technique. I want you to use charcoal for the whole drawing, and then you're putting a gray ground on there first. Okay? So what I want you to do after we do this critique is to put a gray ground of charcoal over the entire drawing and then retrace your lead pencil lines, okay?
Okay.
And then I think I need to find, this one's big because yours is a tiny little image, but I believe it's the same one as this one. And yours is just a little thumbnail there. There we go. This is your photo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When you took this photo, were you at an angle?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you think you could take it again from the top down? Because it's hard, the proportions seem off to me, but I think it's because of the angle of your photo.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on down the line and help the next person while you're doing that. Okay, let's see here. Morgan, public or private?
Public's fine.
Okay. So I can't open that photo up real big here. Maybe I can find the photo. Is it this one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so you got a nice gray ground on there. You got a good amount of charcoal. That's great. Okay, couple things. I'm noticing that your proportions are in the right place. It's just that you've drawn him very cartoonish, and these are the elements that are cartoonish. His eyes are pretty big, and when you really look at his face, his eyes are kind of small. And then the shape of his face is very skinny and little compared to his features, which is also another Do you draw cartoons?
Kind of.
Kind of. I can see it in your work, which is not a bad thing. It's just we're for this drawing, we're learning how to draw from realism. So I want you to really pay attention to like the actual size of his eye. It's pretty tiny. And right about there. That's like the eyelash line. And then this would be, whoops. This would be kind of like where the pupil goes. Okay, so shrink his eyes down a bit. The shape of his nose, the nose is in the right spot, but the shape is a little bit too round. It's kind of like a triangle shape, and then the nostrils sort of like loop around like that. Mouth is in a good spot, but he's got way more like beard. So his beard kind of comes out about that far. This is like his goatee area here. And then the bottom part of his face is kind of like down here. So you're just going to make his face a little bit bigger and his eyes a little bit smaller. And then I think you've got the hairline good right there. I think his hair needs to be, if his face is right here. That's probably pretty good. Maybe make it a little bit rounder right there. And then his collar is way up on his neck here. This is actually where his collar is. And then it comes down like that, probably like that. Okay? It's a really good start. You've got some value in there too, which is great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll put this in the feedback.
Miss Graninger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I just posted for feedback. You might need to refresh.
All right, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to you today because I only have a couple minutes left. So what I want you guys to do is next class period, remind me that I need to continue to do some feedback here because I still have to do feedback for Teresa and Jillian. And it looks like there's probably more here. And Chanel and Elliot. Yeah, a lot of feedback we don't have time for today because class is going to be over in 2 minutes. So keep on. If you want to work on these this weekend, that's totally fine. You can. Oh, wait, it's only Tuesday. Never mind. You can come to office hours. You can also work on it outside of class if you want to. You feel like you have to get caught up. And you can even email it to me and say, Miss Greninger, can you tell me what you think? And I'm happy to give you my feedback. Let's see, let me look at what do I mean by line adjustments? Well, wherever I drew that red line, Alex, I want you to kind of move the features to where I put that red line. That's what I meant by that. Okay, cool. So we need to post a whip for today.
We have that.
Sorry? I'm not sure what your question was. All right, guys. We're going to be posting a work in progress, a WIP for today. Even if you posted in feedback, I still need a WIP from you, just so I can see your progress. You do not need to post your original reference image. You can just post your drawing. And that's number 5 for today. And that needs to be posted by the end of class. So go take a quick pic and pop that in there. And then before I dismiss you, I'd like to see your faces again and get a wave. That's weird. I don't know where I went. I don't see my face. What just happened? There I am. There, oh, I'm never in the middle. I'm always up in the corner somewhere. That's really bizarre.
Bye, Miss Graninger. Have a good day.
Bye, thank you.
You should. Bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful afternoon, you guys. I'll see you on Friday.
Miss Graninger.
Bye, Elliot.
Graninger.
Bye.
Do you have office hours today?
I do. They start in 5 minutes, okay? So I usually end this session and I'll open it back up, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye. Willow, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad, it's not a question,
Uh-huh.
but my dad, right after, the last session, the last class,
Uh-huh.
he went up and cleaned. So, he went in where I am in the room and just started cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the bathroom, and then like when I came back, my art that I was working on was in the trash, and so was so I am restarting.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's a bummer. You sure you can't dig it out of the trash and kind of smooth it out?
I did, but it's all crinkled.
Okay.
Like, oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
The pitfalls
So,
of working from home.
Yeah. So mine. I'm restarting. So on my whip, mine's just the base. Right
Okay.
now.
I will keep that in mind. You use the big paper though, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for telling me.
Yep.